Hi everyone! This video is going to be a little different from my usual swatch videos where I concentrate on one product at a time or one collection at a time. This is going to be a swatch of two new palettes, but I'm also going to compare them. So I will give you the comparisons and what I think in terms of quality, in terms of colors, in terms of price points. So the two palettes that we have here are on the left, one from Huda Beauty, which is the Desert Dusk palette, and on the right side, Natasha Denona's, is it Lila palette? Lila palette? Tell me in the comments below. As you can see, just having them side by side, there are plenty of differences, but also a lot of similarities in terms of the color selection, the shimmeriness, the finishes, etc. So without further ado, you're getting a kind of 2-for-1 in this video. Let's get swatching the new Huda Beauty and Natasha Denona palettes. Oh, and of course, before we start, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that you're eligible for upcoming giveaways. Link to the blog sales in the description box below, and links to photos of the swatches that I'll do in this video if you want to see them more up close is also going to be in the description box below. Alright, let's start with an up close of the Huda Beauty palette first. This retails for $65, and you can get both of these palettes through Sephora. I'll put links to where they're available in the description box below. So it opens up like this, and first you get this protective cover with these eyes, and you get a full-sized mirror also. And as you can see, you get a total of 18 shades, and you get glitter finishes, creamy mattes, and 6 shimmering pearl shades, in addition to 3 duochrome topper shades. And here are the colors up close. So as always, I will be applying these over eyeshadow primer. I will do them one row at a time, top row to bottom row, and swatching the colors from left to right. I want to do up close shots of just a few of these shades. This is Celestial way on the left there, and Nefertiti next to it, followed by Twilight. And then on this end here we have Retrograde, bottom, Cashmere, Angelic, and Cosmo. Alright, first in the top row is Desert Sand. This is a pale matte peach. Musk is a light to medium grayish brown. Eden is a medium matte peach. Amber is a matte brickish coral. Blood Moon is a metallic reddish brown. And Oud, which is a medium, slightly warm-toned matte brown. Alright, there's the top row of shades from the Desert Dusk palette. Starting in the middle row, we have Celestial, which is a really pale shimmering gold with rose reflect. I'm going to add a second layer. Ooh, it builds up really nicely. You can see more of that gold now. On camera, you are mostly seeing that pinkish red reflect. Next up is Nefertiti, which is a medium champagne with larger golden or light golden glitter particles. Twilight is a mix of pink and lavender. It is a duochrome color with a bluish flash. Next is Amethyst, which is a medium matte violet. Royal, which is a metallic royal purple. And Retrograde, which is a mix, it looks like, of reddish brown or maroon and violet shimmer. I'm going to pat on a little more. I'm pretty sure this is one of the duochrome toppers. So a patting motion might actually work better with like a cream base. All right, there is row number 2 of the shades. Really beautiful colors there. Even that topper could use alone or definitely over a black base to really intensify it. Moving on to the bottom row, we have Cashmere, which is a medium metallic taupe. Then we have Angelic, which is a medium pink with a gold duochrome flash. Next is Cosmo, which I'm pretty sure is another one of the toppers. This consists of a lot of larger glitter particles. You have a deep red and some pink with I think a base of deep purple. So again, I'm going to use a patting motion and add a little more. I'm going to swatch the toppers in different ways separately in just a second. Next is Turkish Delight, which is a maroon with a rose flash. Saffron is a matte, basically saffron color. If you know what saffron looks like, it's a red, sort of like a deep warm red brick shade. And last is Blazing, which is a matte medium pumpkin orange color. Alright, so there are the last row of shades from the Desert Dusk palette. Alright, so what's interesting is that the duochrome topper shades, now that I've looked on Sephora's website, are actually not the ones that I thought they were, not all of them. So the first duochrome shade is Retrograde, so that one is this one over here. The second one is Twilight, which is this shade here. And the last one is Celestial, which is in that shade there. All of them in the same row. So I guess those to me seemed like shades that worked perfectly well on their own. With the exception of Retrograde, you can top that with a second layer and it looks really pretty on its own. But it also seemed at first glance to me like one that would be a topper shade. And then Cosmo down here, which I was sure is a topper shade, could still be used that way, but it's actually designated by Huda Beauty as just a pure glitter eyeshadow, which is very accurate because that's basically what it was. It was just a bunch of glimmer sort of pressed together. So I will go ahead and swatch Celestial, Twilight, and Retrograde over black bases and to just, let you see what it looks like. And then we'll do the same thing with Cosmo just to see the difference in application. All right, so let's swatch Celestial. Ooh, look at how that changes. So it definitely brings out the pink on the duochrome Celestial shade. Another layer. Oh, and by the way, I didn't put an eyeshadow base on this, so the color that you see on top of this black part is not actually over an eyeshadow primer. Alright, second is Twilight. Brings out more of the blue that's in this color. And Retrograde, which I used a patting motion when I was swatching it alone. Over the base, more of that green comes out in this shade. Alright, and I also want to swatch Cosmo over a base for you. So it's really, really important to have something that is sticky at the base so that this glitter doesn't go everywhere, which it definitely does, unless you apply it over a base or at least a primer. Alright, so there are your 3 more specialty shades, I guess you could call them, swatched over a black base. You can really see how the duochrome shades change there and how the application of Cosmo improves over a base. And of course you can use different colored bases, but think most people will probably use black, so this is what the change looks like. Alright, so next up we have the NATASHA DENONA Lila Palette, and this retails through Sephora for $129, so you can see that big price jump. I'll go over the differences there in a second. But as you can see, there are 15 eyeshadow shades in this palette with a combination of warm and cool violets, plums, and fuchsias. So as with the first palette, I will be swatching all of these colors over primer, eyeshadow primer, and I will swatch them from the top row to the bottom row and the shades from left to right. And let's get a little bit of a close-up on a couple of these shades. This one's Genou and this one here is Livid. And one more for its duochrome finish. This one is Dragon Bite. So we start with the shade Per Se. This is a matte, medium, smoky purple gray. Next is Viola. This is a metallic, medium fuchsia violet. Amara is a matte, medium berry brown. Cyclone is a duochrome bronze copper with a pink highlight. And Nude Vino is a matte, medium nudie grape. Alright, so there is the top row of the NATASHA DENONA palette. Starting in the second row, we have Lila, which is a metallic dark gray mauve. Amethyst, which is a metallic medium bright violet. Magnetic, which is a metallic medium bright fuchsia. Magnolia, which is a chroma crystals light warm champagne. And Nude Mauve, which is a matte medium gray with like a mauve-y undertone. Okay, there you have row 2 of the NATASHA DENONA palette. With the bottom row, we start with Genou, which is a sheer metallic light lavender. Next is Livid, which is a duochrome medium lilac with silver blue highlight. Pure is a metallic medium burgundy. Dragon Bite is a duochrome medium red with green highlight. And Helio is a metallic light pastel nude rose. Alright, and there is the bottom row of shades from the NATASHA DENONA palette. Alright, we're going to swatch the duochrome shades over black base. I'm going to start with Cyclone. When I first swatched this, I didn't really think of it as a duochrome, and I still don't. You can see that there's really not much of a change in the color. Alright, the next shade is Livid. Again, I don't see much of a change there. It doesn't necessarily need to change over a base. You can have a color that kind of balances two different shades, that it flashes equally. But I don't know that I would really call these duochromes. Third is Dragon Bite, which is the only one I would really consider to have a duochrome shade. And you see there how it changes tone over the black base. Becomes much more green. This is a color that's been done many times before. I think of MAC's Club eyeshadow, and then Kat Von D actually came out with a single pan shade that looks very similar to this. I forget what the name of it is, but It's a shade, a duochrome shade that's done a lot. Okay, so here are the shades, the 3 shades that Natasha Denona designates as duochromed shades. Alright, so there were the 2 palettes swatched for you, and now I just want to give you my comparisons between these 2 palettes. Let's start with the similarities. They both have shadows with really good pigmentation. I didn't feel like any of these shadows lacked in that department, or in either of these palettes lacked in that department. They both have a mix of metallic shimmering shades and mattes. They also have both palettes also have inclusions of more specialty shades, whether that's a duochrome shade or some sort of topper. And they both have very warm toned shades inside these palettes. As you can see, they both feature, you know, really warm reddish browns. They have deep purples, oranges, very yellow-based shades, and even reds in these palettes. So in that sense, they are similar. The differences, let's start with very obvious things. First, in the Huda Beauty palette, you have 3 rows of 6 shades. So you have a total of 18 shades in this palette, whereas with the Natasha Denona, you get a total of 15 colors that you have here, 3 rows of 5 shades. So you get a greater number of colors in the Huda Beauty palette. I think you also get a wider range of types of colors with this palette. So you do have your reds, oranges, purple shades, but you also have shades like Twilight, which looks purplish in the pan, but actually in the lids is a lot more pink based and a light pink, not like a purplish pink. You have Nefertiti and Celestial and Angelic, again, pink shades or golden shades. So I feel like you get a little more range with the Huda Beauty palette than you do with the Natasha Denona. I feel like these are much closer in terms of the color families. It is browns, purples, and some kind of reddish toned shades, and that's about it. The other difference in terms of the finishes of the shades, the Huda Beauty palette has much better duochromed finish shades, in my opinion. You have things like Retrograde over here, and Twilight, even Angelic, and over black bases, Nefertiti, Celestial, maybe even Cashmere, but there are a lot more shades that have an actual shift in the tone of the colors, whereas the one in the Natasha Denona palettes, they're called duochrome shades, but I feel like the only one that actually flashes duo colors is this shade down here, Dragon Bite. And as I just showed you, I guess this is another difference. There is an overlay for the shades in the Natasha Denona palette, whereas with the Huda Beauty palette, the names are there in the palette for you. So I like that also. I think you can probably tell by this point that I prefer the Huda Beauty palette, but the other thing that I think makes the Huda Beauty palette a much better deal is the price point. The Huda Beauty palette is $65. The Natasha Denona palette is $129. And if you look at the amount of product you get with the Huda Beauty palette, you get 25.2 grams of product, or 0.89 ounces at $65. And the Natasha Denona palette does give you more product. You get 37.5 grams and 1.2 ounces, but at $129. So this palette is basically twice as much as the Huda Beauty palette and doesn't give you anywhere near twice the amount of product. And in terms of the quality, I would absolutely not say that the Natasha Denona palette is better quality than the Huda Beauty palette. So you're not getting an increase, a huge increase, or any increase in quality for the price by buying the Natasha Denona palette. The one thing I think that the Natasha Denona palette has on the Huda Beauty palette is, I think comparatively, the smoothness maybe of the matte shades is superior in the Natasha Denona palette. Not that the ones in the Huda Beauty palette are bad, they're not. I just found these to go on a little more smoothly. But conversely, I think that the shimmering finishes in the Huda Beauty palette are better than the shimmering finishes in the NATASHA DENONA palette. So there's your give and take on that. I really don't see a reason to shell out almost $30 for this palette when this palette is available. So that's my rundown of the comparisons for these two palettes. I will point out a couple more things. Does anyone's Huda Beauty palette sweat? There is, like, when I kept it on the side for a few hours and then I opened it again, I thought I had spilled water on it somehow, and so I wiped it down, and then overnight, the next morning again, I opened it up and there's condensation inside the palette. That is so strange to me. I don't know if I don't know. Tell me in the comments below if any of you have experienced that. And the last thing I want to finish with is that this eye look that I have done is using both of these palettes, and I'll quickly run that down for you. All over the lid and under the brow area, I used Desert Sand just as a base, this one right up here. In the crease, I used more of the mattes from the NATASHA DENONA palette, so I used, I believe, this shade here, which is Nude Mauve, in the crease as a transition, and then I went in with Nude Vino and Amara, which are these two matte shades, just kind of mix them in to make a deeper crease. Then for the shades on the lid, I put a black base just on the inner corner, and on top of that I applied Celestial. I kind of wish I had not applied the black base because it looks a lot darker than I wanted it to. I thought it would brighten and intensify the color, but I think putting it on alone would have been better. But in any case, it's Celestial in the inner corners, and in the middle of the lids I used Blood Moon, which is this really red toned shade up here. And then on the outside, I kind of went between different colors. I think I used Pure first and it didn't really show up the way I wanted it to, so I went back over with colors like Oud in the Huda Beauty palette. And then really thinly on the bottom lash line, I used Helio from the NATASHA DENONA palette. So there's a look using both of them, and my vote would be for the Huda Beauty palette, but let me know in the comment section below if you think differently, if I missed any points that you have noticed in terms of quality or how the shadows work when you use the palettes. For the rest of my face, I first want to tell you what this insanely beautiful highlight is. It is from Lancome. It is one of the dual finish highlighters, and this one is in the shade Radiant Rose Gold, number 3. First of all, it looks incredible in the pan. There's an up close for you. I hope you can see the duochrome-ness there. And wow, it is insanely bright. It is buttery, soft, smooth, and cushiony in the compact. I mean, the touch, the feel of this is amazing. And here is a light swatch. If you did this with a foiled brush on the lids, it would be incredible. It's just silky, smooth, buttery in feel, applies incredibly well to the skin. So I am pretty amazed and impressed with this dual finish highlighter. And then on my lips, I have one of the L'Oreal Balmain lipsticks, and this is an exclusive limited edition collection. I have the shade Liberation on my lips. If you want to find out more about this, I will be doing upcoming videos on this entire range, and I will show them to you in my upcoming What's New in Beauty video for October, so make sure you stay tuned for that. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch. I hope this video was helpful to you. Please give it a thumbs up if it was, and I will see you in the next video.